You're listening to Wildlife Control Consultant, where we provide research-based information on all things related to vertebrate pest management. Hi, everyone. Stephen Vantassel here, Wildlife Control Consultant, bringing another episode of the Wildlife Control Consultant podcast. So I don't know if you can hear the wind behind me. We are having gale force winds here in Montana. So it has been quite a windy afternoon, to be sure. So I don't know if you hear a little bit of that, but can't change the weather, that's for sure. But if you're wondering what we're all about talking about technical issues related to the industry of wildlife damage management. So we're glad to have you on board. Do take a few moments, if you would, to subscribe to the show. And of course, if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions for new shows, or if you'd like to be on the show, definitely reach out. We'd love to have guests. We think there's a lot of information on wildlife control that's not getting out to people that should hear it. So we'd love to hear from you. Do take a few moments, if you would, though, and listen to the podcast on how to be a guest on the show if you want to learn more about it. But we would still love to hear from you. Well, as you can tell, we have a guest today. He's been on a show before when I was in a different show title here, and his name is Gerrod Walker. He is the owner of NewcoConsulting.com, which is a training firm, and we're here to have him talk about that. Welcome aboard, Gerrod. Tell us about how you got involved in wildlife control.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, Stephen. It's been a ride. It's been a journey. I used to work in mental health, believe it or not. I worked in a community mental health center, and the pay wasn't great. I was paid as a master's level clinician, making less than $24,000 a year, believe it or not. And 65 folks on my caseload,
Wow.
long hours. And I was just, after about 3.5 years and being, attacked by naked people and all sorts of interesting stories that I could go into another time. I decided to kind of, look at my other options. And, it's kind of funny because my girlfriend at the time she went to the grocery store and she got a case of soda and she brought it home, and a cockroach ran out. And when the cockroach ran out, of course, there's screaming involved. There's all sorts of, oh my goodness, what are we going to do now? She calls the Orkin guy, and $300 later, I mean, he was there for like a half hour.
Yeah.
It was crazy,
Yeah.
and I'm doing the math on that. Thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong with my life? Where have things gone amiss?
Preach it.
And and so I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said, hey, I'm going to do this for a while. This is something I can do. So I took a correspondence course through Purdue University.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
you got some good training
months,
there anyways. Yeah. Purdue program's
absolutely
legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, gosh, 6 months later, I was licensed in Illinois, and it was back in 2004. And Operation Iraqi Freedom was in full swing. The military was looking for hiring contractors that do pest control and wildlife removal, and I got the opportunity to work in Kuwait for a couple of years, a little over 2 years, working with the U.S. Army, and I made over 80,000 there my first year.
Tax free, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Legally tax
yes.
free. Well, you got to throw that out there, right? Okay.
And they would give me like $40 a day to eat. I mean, heck, the cafeteria, they wouldn't even charge us pest guys, right? We were connected. So it was just a fantastic opportunity to get introduced to the industry. I wasn't a real fan of Kuwait. I don't recommend Kuwait.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough living in the
just
desert
a sandbox,
there,
isn't it? It's just a hot sandbox.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just and the people aren't real respectful on the highways. They don't have the same decorum that we do here. I mean, I get home at the end of the day, and I kid you not, I would have to peel my hands off my steering wheel and praise the Lord that I had made it safely home. It was just uh, it was oh, and every day in the morning, we'd leave out real early, and you'd see all sorts of wrecks, highest fatality rate per capita in the world, accident rates, and just crazy behavior on the highways. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's a real problem. So that got you started, and then you started your own company, I guess, at some point, right?
well, so I went after spending 2.5 years in the sandbox. I came back and I worked for animal control. I worked for an animal control organization, Winnebago County Animal
Hmm.
Control in Illinois, and I got introduced to county government. Um, yeah, and I don't recommend it. I don't I don't recommend it at all. But it was a fantastic opportunity to see the demand and need for wildlife control professionals, certainly in Illinois,
Hmm.
and the demand for people to resolve wildlife issues was certainly very evident. And I wasted no time to get my license, and boy, I just hit the ground running.
Wow.
My Illinois
Okay.
office took off like crazy.
Wow.
I think I did over, I mean, this was back in 2006,
Hmm.
no, 2007.
Okay.
And my first year, I think I was over 80,000 for that partial year
Wow.
in sales. And I was just, I didn't know my rear end from a hole in the ground,
Yeah.
but
But you were
we
growing even
figured it
during
out.
the recession of 2008 then.
Yes,
Wow.
tremendous growth during the recession, which was fantastic. I don't know what it would have been like if the recession wasn't there, but it
Hmm.
didn't hit me at hard at all.
Yeah.
People had pests and they needed resolution to it, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
have to apologize. I don't know if my camera keeps doing this goofy up and down
no,
thing.
it's
I'll
not.
try
It's
to
all right. It's looking
keep my
okay.
head and
Yeah. So it's yeah. So people tend to get motivated when the raccoon's staring at them from the kitchen table, right? So I usually,
or the hole in the roof.
or the hole in the
I mean,
roof. Yeah. Okay. All
these are
right.
matters that need attention.
And so now you're in Oklahoma, is it, I believe, right? You're based in Oklahoma and you started a company, nucoconsulting.com. So tell the audience what that is all about and what you can do for people in the wildlife control field.
Yeah, so the abbreviation kind of goes out to National Wildlife Control Consulting and Staffing.
Hmm.
And my idea for growing this company was to build a network of professionals across the nation that would specialize in very niche things in our industry. Folks that do things that are just very unique and very specialized. To have a bunch of colleagues that could consult with companies that were in different stages of development. I never owned a really large company, so I have no business consulting with somebody that's already at 5 million and they want to take it to 10 million, right?
Hmm.
So, I have a network of folks that can offer those kinds of services. Um, we look at service contracts and agreements. We do a little bit of just helping somebody to figure out how to get off the ground. We just do just about everything you can imagine. um, my passion and my specialty actually is working with log structures. I
Mm.
got the chance to work with log homes and log buildings in Colorado. I opened an office after I opened a second office in Colorado, doing pest and wildlife control in the mountains in Colorado. And I just fell in love with log structures, fell in love with Colorado, and I found that there were so many folks that these homeowners, they have these beautiful structures, and they have tons of pests. They move in and they have no idea what kind of pest pressure they're in for. These beautiful
That's true.
structures, it's just like a beautifully, magnificently, like
Yes.
a wonderful lady, just a beautiful woman. It's a lot of maintenance there. It's a ton of maintenance to own a log home. And people
Okay.
don't have any clue what it takes to properly maintain those logs, to stain them right, to make sure that they're not exposed to water and mold and damage and all sorts of stuff. But, I found time and time again, the homes that I was working with were, it depended. There's certain types of log structures that don't have a lot of chinking involved. And there's other types of log structures like Swedish cope that, you're looking at a lot of chinking involved
Yeah.
in those styles and a
So is
lot of
there
settling.
so is there a difference between so obviously you're saying there's differences in different types of wood used to create the log cabin. Uh, and I guess you're referring to real wood log cabins, not the fake wall stuff that makes it look like a log
Right.
cabin, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some of the challenges that people have when they're getting into a log structure that they're going to have down the road?
Yeah, even if you have a home and you hire a chinking crew and they come out and they charge, whatever they charge, an astronomical amount of money to chink it on the exterior. What I found is that these chinkers don't chink it past basically the top wall log there. So underneath the soffit, you've got your purlins, you've got all sorts of
Hmm.
different structural elements of the log structures that pests then are drawn to naturally. And those are your entry points, soffits and eaves and roof lines, and really that's where the magic happens. That's where the vacancy sign in the desert is just kind of flicking back and forth. It's a beacon of, hey, I'm open for business. Come on
For
in, and the
business.
bats love it. And so, yeah, I spent about a week at Zero Failures training it in Sashco.
Hmm.
Sashco is a manufacturer of wood caulks and chinking products, and a ton of other great products. And those folks trained me on how to do log cabin restoration through their courses there that they offer there at the manufacturer. And I learned a ton about how to properly take care of these structures. Um, it has paid dividends because I developed a niche for getting rid of pests, applying chemicals or sealants, and chinking wood caulks to these beautiful structures in a way that's not going to damage them. It's going to result in so much enhancement to those structures. We're
Yeah.
talking about transformative, like it went from drafty and tons of cluster flies and couldn't really stand it to being a warm and comfortable home. Energy efficiency reasons, there's tons of reasons to do chinking and wood caulks. And it just became a niche of mine. And once you develop that reputation in that community, it spreads, people, other neighbors, they're like, oh, do what you did for
Right.
Bob.
So do you
Uh,
travel or do you just train people to do it now in your position? Or do you travel and
yeah.
do it still?
So I operated for about 5 years and
Hmm.
then I fell off a ladder and that was fun. Had a uh, little accident that wasn't too severe, but brought me aware of some damage to my back, and I really
Yeah.
needed to shift gears. And
Mm.
so now what I do is really specialize in training crews. So folks that are out there, if you're a single operator, or if you run a crew and you're in an area where you have any exposure to log structures, I love coming out and training crews in the field. It's a great opportunity because people will call me and they'll say, hey, I don't know how to bid this. I don't know even where to start on how do you estimate sealant usage and what I need to do with this? And it's a hot mess and there's a ton of log checks. I can help walk that client through the inspection
Mm.
photos, and bid it appropriately. And then we build my costs right in for me to come out and spend about a week with their crew. I
Yeah.
typically recommend a week,
Wow.
especially if it's a complex structure.
Okay.
Absolutely, you'll need a week.
Mm. And then
So
once they're trained, though, I mean, they're kind of good to go for,
yes,
and so when they make that commitment, because I'm sure some people probably had the gasp when they said a week, right? So this is not a game, right? This is something they're gonna have to really put some money into. but they get the training and then they bring you out, you show them how to bid the job, you're actually doing the work. They're going to have high confidence in the quality of the work because you're there making sure they don't screw up. And then what happens afterwards? Does that work? Do they have like a year of consultation time, or is he just charged by the hour on a phone call or a Zoom? How does it go from there?
Yeah, so I usually give a pretty good discount if the clients are willing to allow me to work with them for a week.
Hmm.
I discount my rates pretty substantially to make it, to make it worthwhile. I just want to spend a lot of time with them. Really,
Yeah.
the key is with chinking in particular, it's so nuanced. It's an
Mm.
art, right?
Yeah.
And there's certain people that are artists and there's certain people that are not
Yeah.
artists,
Yeah.
right? So, I want to take the time to show them individually and I'll get them started. I kind of got it down to a science. I'll get some folks started on cleaning and prepping the logs and working with, just the cleaning part of it. And then I'll focus on one area and it might be chinking purlins. That's a unique thing. There's really a lot of detail that goes into this. Um, it's just there's a lot of knowledge that goes into it, and I really
Mm.
want to spend my time with my clients to teach them everything and really get every single member of that crew comfortable with it. And I'll just bounce around and I'll supervise to make sure that the work is being done appropriately and right. We talk about safety. We looked at there's all sorts of preparatory kind of things that we do in the very beginning to I'd say it's probably 2 days of just simply walking around and teaching them what log structures are all about, and that
Yeah.
hey, there's a ton of areas on these log homes that you can seal. This is how to seal this one the right
Hmm.
way. These are the different products you can use, different colors, textures that are added to it. What happens when you want to make that gap, that natural knot hole, look like it's a knot hole and it's not got sealant in it? How do you do
Right.
that magic?
Right. Right.
So I just spend my time, but when I walk away, there's very little need for that company to continue bugging me because they know their stuff.
They know their stuff after that.
They
Yeah,
know
and
their stuff.
I would think that, it's important for people to realize if you go to a conference, for example, and you're only going to be there for a couple of days, you're looking at probably 2 grand, 2,500 right there. And you're just kind of sitting in a lot of PowerPoints generally. I mean, there might be some exceptions to that, but you're already in, and then you're like, now you're having the instructor come to you, and I'm sure they're able to pick your brain on beyond simply the log cabin thing. So, I mean, this would be something I try to tell the audience, stop saying no. Like, do you do that? No. Stop saying no.
Right.
Get the get the skill you
Yeah.
need to say yes or hire subcontract. I would suspect you have people that would travel out there and do the work for them, right? I mean, if that's what it came down to.
We do. And
Yeah.
there's no reason to turn these jobs down,
Yeah.
even if it's something that, hey, you may never want to do it. You look
Hmm.
up there and there's like a 19-story building. I got a guy that can get up there and he can like shimmy up and down like a
Mm.
spider monkey up there,
Yeah.
and we'll make sure that referral is paid to you, that you'll get money as a
Yeah.
result of that. Trusting us with your most precious clients, right?
Right. Right.
Um, so we have crews that can come in and take care of the work. If it's not something you're interested in doing at all, we'll take care of it. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
So stop saying no, everyone.
Well, and Stephen, the thing is that when we build our costs in,
Hmm.
we build our costs in
Right.
to the proposal, right? So there's no there's no downside here. It's a
Correct.
job you wouldn't have taken anyway,
Hmm.
and we're going to look at that. We're going to explain why to the person, hey, this is how you sell your job. This is what you need to tell your client. This is how we're going to transform their home.
Yeah.
And they will oftentimes they won't blink at $5,000 or $10,000. They
No.
won't blink at that. These people, they're tired of bats. They're tired of living. They need some resolution, and they know
Right.
that this is a transformative thing that will protect and beautify the structure, as opposed to hiring some guy that's going to put some garbage on there that is
Oh no.
impossible to dig
Yeah.
out.
That's right. Yeah. That's something, and that's an important point. I mean, when you have someone who's got let's say $500,000 house or higher. I think what the median cost now in the US, I think is 350, 400 now. It's just gotten ridiculous. But let's say they have a
Insane.
$1 million house. They don't want to be calling you again in a year. They want it done. You
Right.
know, it's just the hassle, and I'm totally, and I think it's important for service contractors to really appreciate that when people are paying big money and don't think someone else is not charging big money for crap work. Uh, you know, they want it done and just they want that peace of mind. And if you and again, stop saying no, everyone.
And
You have, yeah, go ahead.
Stephen, I think what's important to understand here is that not everybody is your client.
Yeah.
Um, Not everybody is the client that you want.
Hmm.
And I would say if you're trying to get that guy that wants to DIY, is my scope frame is my
Yeah,
video
your
frozen or
camera
is it?
froze on you.
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't know, and it's a horrible look too, isn't it? So I'm like,
You,
ah,
you leaned in, and I think it freaked your
I
camera
leaned
out.
in. It did. Here, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm
All
going to turn
right,
it back on. We'll
there
see
you
what
go.
happens here.
He's
Looks
got one
like
of
I got
those.
palsy.
He's got one of those fancy high-tech cameras, not like mine, which is just a $99 deal that I think I got on the top of my.
It's not wanting to come back on now. It
Oh my
doesn't like my
gosh.
mug.
Wow.
Wow. All right. Well, I can go without camera too.
Yeah.
We can do
Yeah, go
that.
ahead. Just keep going.
Yeah. So I think, it's important to know that not everybody should be your client.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And
you,
do
you,
you have do you have a rule of thumb? I mean, some guidelines that you use to sort of, what advice would you give someone to say, here are the criteria that I use to sort of like, we're not a good fit with the client, perhaps. Do you have any principles that you could just rattle off the top of your head?
I think it's just it's kind of a gut feeling. It starts with that phone call. You
Yeah,
know, I'll have a very candid conversation with my clients, and I'll just say sometimes, hey, it doesn't feel like this is a real good fit.
right,
And it might be just a matter of saying that. You don't have to end on bad terms. You just say,
right,
hey,
right.
listen,
Yeah.
I think that you might be better served by a different professional. This is how we
Right.
do things.
Hmm.
If you're uncomfortable with that, or if it's outside your price range, you're not able to do that, then that's fine.
Hmm.
Here's my number. Uh,
Yeah.
if we can help you in the future, then great.
Yeah. Don't burn the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times that's happened where the
Mhm.
person's come around. They hire that
Absolutely.
other guy,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
or gal. They hire him. They hire that other professional, and you know the bats are right back.
Bats are back. Yes.
Bats are back.
Yeah. And they're out and they can't get their money back, right? They've already dropped who knows how many thousands of dollars on it. And they're still not getting the problem solved. Yeah. It's a problem. There you are. Great. Have you
I
good.
came back.
Yeah, no, I think those are good. I think those are good points because I do think it is hard for self-employed people. You're always nervous, is that next job going to come in, right? It's not like you have someone else paying your paycheck, and there is a lot of stress with that. But there are situations where, the fit's not right, and sometimes you have to let people go around to somebody else and then finally realize, well, maybe I should have gone with you to begin with. And that's really an important point for people to take, that business savviness. I understand you have a PowerPoint that you can show us about some of the things
Yeah,
that you do with your company. Would you like to get
sure.
that
Let me
started or
turn my camera off here
okay?
again, and so it doesn't freak
And I
out.
and I think you still can share. Yep,
Hmm.
you can. Yep, you still have the ability to share.
All right. Let's see. Of course, everything share screen. There we go. Can you see that? Okay.
Not yet. Oh,
Oh, I got
there
to
we go.
actually hit the
There it is.
button.
Yep,
There it is.
there it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I would suggest for really any wildlife control operator out there, my
Mm-hmm.
my sealant course, mastering it's basically a certification. It's a certified training online.
Mm-hmm.
Sealants and application techniques for WCOs and PCOs. That course there that you see here on the left covers 16 different sealants that are perfect for WCOs. And it teaches you all sorts of understanding of how you can use them, what their superpowers are. Every sealant has a superpower, you know.
Oh, okay. I like that. All right.
Yeah, well, and there's a ton of people that will ask me, hey, Gerrod, what sealant should I be using? And I almost laugh at that question because that's somebody that wants to buy a pallet of something and they usually want it to be clear, you know, and they want to be
Right.
able to put it anywhere without
Right.
any like altering of any other
Right.
circumstances here.
Right.
And, you know, you just, that's, to me, I'm a sealant geek, right? I mean, I
Right.
geek
Right.
out on this stuff.
Yeah.
There are so many like things that are wrong with that idea.
Hmm.
Imagine using a screwdriver for, you know, as a hammer, for instance. We've all done it. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
won't have the right tool and you use the wrong tool and you're hitting your thumb and you're cursing. That's what's going to happen if you use the wrong sealant. And what
Right.
I want to impress upon people is that this is serious stuff. Like, there's a couple of sealants out there, ASI 57 for one, that is a fantastic sealant for certain applications. But what they don't tell you on the label says that they're approved for roofing applications, right? And so you think roofing applications and you think, well, gosh, that must mean I should be able to put it on an asphalt shingled roof.
Right.
Would you assume that?
Yeah. I, that's most roofs around, right? So that's the number
I
one roof in the country, isn't it? So,
I
yeah.
would absolutely assume that.
Yeah.
Well, the truth of the matter is, when I contacted their chemists, they said that ASI 57 is not recommended for applications to asphalt shingled roofs.
Yeah.
Now, how many guys are using ASI 57 because they don't want the VOC and the odor issues that come along with Solar Seal or some of these other sealants that are out there? You know, they want to avoid that liability, which has merit. I understand it. You know, I get
Wow.
it. But if you are sealing, like, you know, you've got fasteners that are holding the trap down, you're doing some type of exclusion, you're removing, you know, fasteners or whatever, and you are relying on that. Now you're pushing that sealant down into the hole. And
Right.
what's going to happen? So what happens with ASI 57 is that it will separate. So it'll separate those components. Well, what
Uh-oh.
happens when you separate those components?
It's not
You
waterproof
end up,
anymore.
yeah, you end up getting water in there.
Oh
So
gosh.
ASI 57 is a fantastic product, but not on asphalt shingled roofs,
Mm.
right? So ASI 57 superpower is that they have, it's almost a zero VOC. It's almost a completely, and I can't say the word safe because we're banned from being able to use the
Right.
term
Right.
safe for anything because really nothing is safe. So, but you can use ASI 57 even in industrial enclosed spaces with other workers and folks present. Um,
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
you know,
Because
yeah, and there's a
I guess I didn't think about that because normally I would, when I was doing that kind of work, I was always outside the building, so VOCs didn't bother me. It didn't matter, right? It's exposed to the air. But I
yeah.
guess inside of a building, that would be a huge problem, right? Like a baby room or something.
Oh my
That
goodness.
that would be that would be bad.
Well, and more we're finding in today's elevated sensitivity world we live in,
Hmm.
odors to most people equal danger,
Right, right,
right?
right.
They think of an odor and they think, oh boy, um, that is causing a danger to me,
Yeah.
right? So um, Solar Seal is an example of I love Solar Seal,
Yeah.
right? Like I've gone back 10 plus years on roofs and looked at the Solar Seal I applied 10 years ago and damn it, it is right there. It is perfect. It is beautiful. It's doing its job. It's lasting very, very long, way beyond what a normal sealant would be expected in direct sun to last. But the problem is that with that VOC, you know, we're getting a lot of people that are getting sued. You know, can you imagine trying to pull that out? So
Oh,
Solar Seal's got a 21-day cure. Wrap your head around that for a minute. It's a
21 days.
21-day cure. Yeah. So it's a very long curing process for that.
And
And
it's emin
that's when it's applied at the proper depth and proper width, right?
okay.
And we all know WCOs, they're gonna fill that gap. If it's 2 inches wide, they're gonna fill
Well,
it.
more is better, right? And does
More is better.
is it gassing off that entire 21 days?
Well, it's no,
No?
because it
Okay.
skins. Fortunately, it skins over in the areas that are going to get that, going to be able to release that. So you're
Okay.
going to have, the inside part of that sealant is what cures in the last part of it. It'll skin over, and your odor will be substantially reduced well
Gotcha.
before then.
Okay.
But
Well, that makes
eh,
sense. Okay.
you, like California, you can't even ship it legally or use it legally in
Oh,
California.
California, dude, can they just go away? I mean, just
I
become
know,
another
right?
country.
Yeah.
But that's no, I'm not going to get political here, but oh gosh, like, how do you, uh, so you're training, so how many trainings do you have on those
So
sealants? Do you have like one class that covers a whole bunch of sealants, or do you have like in-depth classes for each class of sealant? How does that work?
So I have one class
Yeah.
that combines 11 modules, and one of those modules discusses these 16 different sealants that are perfect for WCOs. And that's
Wow.
sealant and application techniques for WCOs. That's
Okay.
the logo here on the left.
Yeah.
And we cover it backers. A lot of guys don't use backers at all. They just fill a
Right.
gap and they're like, well, whatever happens, happens.
Add
There's a
more.
million reasons why you want 2 point adhesion. 2 point adhesion is a game changer when you have two surfaces that are moving, and a lot of times exteriors are moving through
Right.
contraction and expansion, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So we talk about clear sealants, we talk about VOC, we talk about EFIS systems, exterior insulation and finishing systems, and how those systems are so incredibly susceptible to the types of sealants that you're using on those systems.
Okay.
Those systems are designed to allow moisture to exit through the exoskeleton of them.
Hmm.
And if you don't put the right sealant on there, you're locking moisture inside. You're increasing your liability for mold, um, and you're oftentimes voiding manufacturer warranties by not
Okay.
using the proper sealants on them. So there's a lot to go along with that
And
too.
how many hours is that class?
Oh my gosh, it's like 11 hours if you
11
dive
hour.
into all
Okay.
the extra downloads
Okay.
and
All right.
PDFs and
Wow.
all the
Okay.
extras that come with it. Yeah.
All right.
We talk about woodpecker repairs, application techniques in different scenarios, all sorts of it. And so I think of this as like if you want to really know your stuff, if you want to go in and really understand these sealants that are super common in our industry,
hmm
this course is a great starting point for that.
Okay. And so can I ask you a question about the woodpecker repairs? I have heard that there are certain paints or I guess sealants. I'm not sure if sealant's the right word, but I heard of a manufacturer up in Canada that had a spray or something that would harden like the dry vit type houses. You know that like have almost styrofoam underneath uh, a surface, a harder surface, and it's supposed to harden the building to make it harder for a woodpecker to peck through. Have you heard of anything that can do that with a building?
There are certain substances and mixes that will. It's almost like a bondo type kind of
Yeah,
thing.
okay.
I don't. I really steer away from that in most situations because of movement, right? So it's
Right,
so
okay.
hard. It doesn't have the elasticity needed to move. And as those often dark surfaces are heated up
Yeah,
and contract and expand, you're going to end up with cracking issues. So,
gotcha.
more, yeah, like a wood caulk would be a good alternative. Sometimes you can do some wizardry with making that look like a knot hole or grain, kind of, brush stroke it, make it look like it's part of that natural grain. You can do some of that, and I talk about how to use that in the
Okay.
course too.
All right. And now you have another logo over here to the right, the underneath the Nuco Consulting, and this is your training for handling log structures. Is that correct? This is where you're doing the chinking and all that
Y-
training
Yeah.
there.
And so I have obviously there's the on-site training.
Hmm.
That's the level two. And
Okay.
level one is actually a course that is not completed yet. I have, I think,
Oh,
five
okay.
modules completed out of nine.
Okay.
Um, and at the end of that online course, it's going to give you all the basics for understanding how to exclude log structures professionally. You can make a lot of money in log structures, and this course is a really cheap way of like understanding some really good basics about what you need to look for. And I recommend that if you're gonna certainly if you're gonna hire us to do the on-site part, have all
Hmm.
the technicians start with both of these courses
Yeah.
and get that online part over with before, because it just fast tracks them so that when we're on site, we can focus on this is how you apply and this is how you work with these sealants to make the magic happen.
Yeah, because you're talking the same language, you get them into the lingo, understanding terms, and so then you don't have to start from scratch when you go out and meet them. So level two is the on-site portion, and level one
Yeah.
that you're almost finished with is the online portion. Did I understand that correctly?
And
Okay.
there's nine separate mini training courses in that certified
Yeah,
training.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
and
amazing.
and you can see some of these structures are
That's
just like super gorgeous,
oh, that is
but
pretty. Yeah.
there's a ton of areas that need attention,
Right.
and you can see how quickly someone that like if you own this home, you want it to look fantastic,
Well, right, absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely
so
sure.
think about the skill that would go into a project like this.
Mhm.
It's detailed. So we have various opportunities to do some hands-on work, and we present at different events across the country. Sometimes we'll get the opportunity to do simple little demonstrations here and there. NICOA, the expo, we do that sometimes. This year, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. It's just I have a lot going on, but yeah, certainly contact us and see if there's an opportunity, and great
So
way
this is
to.
where, so if an association or a group wants to have you become a speaker at one of their events, that's an option for them to have you come in and do as well, or do a little mini workshop at their conference or training
Mhm.
event that's available as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. And two, I would just suggest if you want that, just let me know with plenty of advance notice.
Yeah. Don't do it like
Um,
in a week, folks. So,
yeah, no, and two, if you guys, if there's somebody out there that wants to come here to Oklahoma, we can make that happen too. And I can usually
okay.
make that happen on a weekend or do something. I have a shop, and we could make that type of thing happen too.
Nice. Okay. All right. And what's the best way for them to reach you? Might as well, we need to probably list that a few times. How would
Yeah.
you want them to reach out to you?
So by email, or you can look me up on Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
You can do that. I hate my contact us feature on my website. I'm about ready to disable it because all I get is spam on it.
Yeah.
I get all sorts of weird stuff. And so I would say just email me, and I'll have my email there at the end. But
Okay.
I just wanted to share a few more photos
Sure.
and this is a company I worked with in Black, Missouri, a gorgeous, like rural home. And I had the opportunity to work with AJS Wildlife Solutions,
Hmm.
Andrew Stadnick and his team, to teach them, all about how to take care of this particular log structure. And it was a good opportunity. We did some hands-on stuff, and then
Nice.
yeah, we had some opportunities to work with some purlins. You can see those big beams that are kind of sticking out there
Yeah.
that you can see the sealant on. Those are called purlins,
Purlins.
and
Okay.
yeah, and
And
and that's a trick in and of itself to
and how
make that
and
look good.
is that a true log house or is that just a house with slats.
No, it's a true log
That's a true
structure. It's a
log. Okay, boy, that's pretty
yeah.
tight there on the
It,
vertical side, isn't it?
so this is a D log structure,
A D
and D
log
logs,
structure. Okay.
yeah, it's called D logs,
All
and
right.
they're kind of like interchangeable and interlocking. And
Oh,
so typically you don't have any need for sealant in a typical chinking joint on the log wall itself. It's all those areas underneath the soffit that are really the focus
gotcha.
of the entry
Okay.
points. And two, D-logs have settling systems in there. A lot of homes, like certain styles, are more apt to have settling. Settling occurs during that first 5 years of when a
Yeah.
log structure starts to dry out
Hmm.
and reach EMC, which is equilibrium moisture content, where the content moisture content of the logs meets that of the environment in which the logs are built. And so
Gotcha.
during that 5 years is when you're going to have that substantial amount of movement and issues. And it's super important to know, like, if you get a call to a brand new structure, you have to account that there's going to be a massive amount of potential movement in that first 5 years. So we talk about that a lot too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be important to know because otherwise all your work, if you didn't do it right, it's all going to be all busted up because of the movement of the
Well,
building.
so you'll get you'll what I usually recommend is I recommend re-inspections and prepping the client ahead of time. It's all about making the
Yeah.
client aware that, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to make every gap go away, but we need to re-inspect maybe every 6 months or maybe every 3 months in some
Oh,
cases.
okay. Wow.
And then that, you can build that re-inspection in there, and you can continue to warranty it as long as they pay you to do the re-inspection and
Yeah.
understand that if there's work that needs to be done, that has to be done. As the structure moves, you just respond and you reseal and you readdress those areas. But if you can stay on top of it, then you won't get a reinfestation of a colony of bats if you stay
Wow.
on top of that.
I would think that's, yeah, I would. You've convinced me more and more not to get a log cabin house, that's for sure. So
I love
I
them.
am sold.
Yeah, I love these structures, but I'll tell you, there's no way I would ever buy one.
Yeah,
I,
it's
you know, unless I was infinitely rich, and then that's a different story,
sure. Then
right?
it doesn't matter, right? You'd pay it off the interest on your $1 billion or something. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you have another slide?
Yeah,
Any?
I have.
Okay, here we go.
Are we running out of time,
Nope,
Stephen? Because
nope.
I can.
Just no.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in this example here, this is a log check, and log checks are when those that drying process and that settling process, as those logs dry out, they crack and they leave what's called a log check. And so this log check is we're cleaning it out. We're getting ready to put our backer in there and then let it dry completely from the cleaning agents that we're using on here. In this case, we're using denatured alcohol mix because it will clean really well, but it also will evaporate and allow us to continue working quickly.
Mm.
So we're cleaning that out, and I'm just instructing, this technician on how to do that here.
And what is the
Um,
orange stuff that was on there? Is that just sunlight or is that some cleaning agent there or is that foam?
where are you seeing that? Right where he's working?
Well, no. Well, there's a little bit of orange there, but if you look at the underneath the roof shingles along the drip line, I see a lot of orange or yellow there. What is that?
Okay. So what that is there's a mastic that builders will oftentimes use that doesn't look great. It doesn't take stain real well. It doesn't move real well.
Okay.
And it just kind of looks funky sometimes, and that's what you're seeing there, I
Oh, okay.
believe.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's not
And
you
we're
guys.
no, and
No.
and what he's doing here, he's kind of getting too much of the paper towel, in that crack, and he's not being. It's very hard to. It's not a smooth surface, right?
Yeah,
And so
right.
when you use a paper towel, I usually recommend like a rag
Yeah,
because
so it
it's
doesn't
not
break
gonna.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that big of a deal. He can wipe that free, and we can go to town right there. But
Yeah.
we're,
No, I
we're
was
then the next.
referring more to the up above it, but yeah, there is a little bit of yellow where he's working, but yeah, okay. Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's quite a ladder setup you got there too. Holy
Oh my
cow.
goodness, yes.
Yeah,
Well, and two, a lot of times guys aren't factoring in what does it take to get to that spot.
yeah,
In some cases you can, like with the bump out porch there, that just ruined every opportunity to get along those purlins in a
that's
simple
right.
manner.
Right.
I mean,
I know.
so and thank goodness that he factored this in to the costs
Yeah,
because the just the setup and the safety setup alone to safely access this roof line was a challenge.
right,
If you don't bring the right and if you don't bring the right equipment, you're not prepared. These jobs are in the middle of nowhere, right? So you're not
right,
talking
right.
about you're talking about having your entire crew hung up or having to reschedule that, having to
Hmm.
come back. That's a money loser.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
stuff's really important.
And you can't get a often get a lift out there because they're usually not flat all the way around, or they're up
Well,
against the
there's
side of a mountain.
Yeah, and this one, we probably could have used a lift in the front and the back. I think it would have been really space limited.
Mm,
But like in Colorado, I don't think we used a boom lift once. I mean, there's just the terrain is so
yeah,
unforgiving,
yeah. No way. Yeah.
and honestly, if you're using even with ropes, you can do amazing things with ropes and rope access.
Hmm.
The more I get into learning about that, that's the way to go on some of these really rural properties because you're not hung up on so much equipment costs and then you can't
Yeah,
use it because it's not level surface or you can't get around a corner. Yeah. And so this shows kind of
that's
what
beautiful.
the what the chinking looks like when it's done. Obviously, the tongue and groove aspect of it is difficult to keep the sealant looking straight.
Mm,
Um, we always one of the first things I do is here's a little professional tip. You don't start applying sealants. That's not the first step, right? The first step is to take and get a ladder up there and measure the distance of the largest gap in those purlins. I guarantee that the purlins are going to be all different. Like one will have no gap at all, the others will have sometimes 3 inch gap.
yeah.
Well, you can't you shouldn't use a 3 inch wide gap and then turn around and use a half-inch width. That doesn't look good. The client's
Right.
going to look up and see that and see, oh, it looks like garbage. It's got to match. So
Mm.
even if there's not that size gap, every single one of those purlins is matched to the largest gap size.
Wow.
So, and I think you can see some of that mastic in the around the purlin, around the bottom of the purlins. You can see they used that mastic in this picture, and they
That's the
also
gray.
used it.
That's the gray stuff there. That little strip. Is that what you're referring to?
It's Well, it's really different. It's kind of not showing up perfectly in the picture here, but around the purlin, at the bottom of these purlins or on the two purlins that are on the there's the ridge beam at the top. That's not
Yeah.
technically a purlin, it's a ridge beam. So if you
Uh-huh.
look at the bottom of the ridge beam there, you'll see a gap there,
Uh-huh.
and that's a little bit of that mastic. And then it's also on the two purlins here,
Oh, I got
on
you.
the sides.
It's like the
Yeah, that's
caulk
not our
around
work.
the circumference of the log.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
don't I think it's an adhesive function too, but I'm not entirely sure. I
Mm.
know that it's on a lot of the structures we see. We'll see that. But yeah, and I get up there. I get up. After my fall, I was told I would never work at heights again. And then I went and I sold my service companies. And after my surgery, they said, you're doing fantastic. You can go back to work at heights.
Wow.
So yeah, I get right up there. I love it. I love it because I love being on ladders occasionally. Now
Okay.
it's comfortable, and I get right up there with the guys.
Oh, good. Okay.
But
Well, this
take a
is
look
kind of
at
a
this.
mess. Yeah, that's a little bit of a
Yeah, oh my,
mess.
yeah. Through that EMC and settling process, you can see how many gaps are possible, and
Phew.
there's a lot of sealing involved in this hot mess right here.
Wow.
And the other thing is that look at how the home is not properly stained.
Yeah.
So when the home's not properly stained, and this is another pro tip here. If you've got a dry timbers like this is not the situation to apply, sealants in an ideal world. So in an ideal world, you'd want to be able to prep those surfaces and stain them so that your sealant is going to be applied so much easier. The dryness will cause that sealant to wick into those grains right there, and
Mm.
it's really hard to make it look good. And some clients will be like, I don't care. There's no way I'm paying to get it stained. I just need it to be bat proofed. And that's fine too, but you have to manage those expectations.
And do you think that when you're writing that, I'm always nervous about clients who say that. And so because they say it, you want to make sure, I guess, you document that and have them sign off.
Oh, I have them sign right on the service agreement that
Yeah.
this is,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So that
And,
way
and I've
they don't
and I've
forget.
already sent them. I've already sent them the documents and the pictures showing what it looks like when we
Yeah.
do this. Like this is the difference between here. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Look at this one here. Look at how beautifully maintained this home is. It's perfectly stained.
Yeah.
These grains are not going to wick in that sealant. And as a result, it's going to be a 10 times easier to apply the sealant where you need to apply it. You're going to
Right.
be able to wipe that clean. You're going to be able to do it very quickly and without issue. When you're trying to seal that, oh boy, your price just went up 10 times.
Right.
I
Yeah.
kid you not. So yeah, they're just such gorgeous structures, and there's so much complexity to them underneath that soffit line. There's
Mm.
so many opportunities to use these wood caulks, and my clients, they love it. Like the greatest compliment in the world is when a client will tell me, "Where did you seal?" Like a lot of times they'll look up and they don't see anything. That's the best compliment in the world when they don't see our work, when we're able to blend it in so perfectly that it matches the existing chinking. And wherever there was a gap and crack that was dark in color, maybe we used a grizzly brown color and it makes it look just like it did before, like a shadow
Yeah.
or a gap. I've had clients accuse me of not doing the work. They've looked up. I had one lady, she said, I am so pissed you didn't seal that hole. Look, you left that big hole there. No, I had to get I had to get up there with a camera, take the picture, bring it down, and show her directly. There was in fact sealant there. Now in this picture, there's not sealant here, so this isn't a great picture to exemplify that, but
Yeah.
we can make that just blend in so nicely. If you look at this picture here, let me see. Go back. See, this sealant isn't even dried yet. When
Okay.
it's dried, it's going to look even darker than that.
All right.
And then you remove the direct, you know, um, flash and of the camera, you're not going to see that. And we'll show clients. Oftentimes, I will pull the client aside and I will seal an area. And this is after everything's finalized and they for sure want to do the job. I will go ahead and apply some and then give them the opportunity to say, you know what, I don't like that color or I wasn't expecting that, and we can pivot. One of the beautiful things about Sashco products is that any Sashco product can be applied to any other Sashco product. So you can recess your sealants and with the full intent that if they don't like that color, you simply come back with a different color and put it right over
Right
it
over the
and it'll
top.
work
Oh,
perfectly.
that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's really a lot of, so it's almost a multi-step process, and you have to be sure that you're photo documenting your work. I would guess at strategic points, just in case someone's keep making accusations to you.
Well, one trick I do is that when the client chooses the sealant, I do two things. When they choose it before I order it, before I've applied it, I will put these little cards. Sashco makes these beautiful sample cards where they actually put the actual real product dried in a sample card. and I give that to the client. Sashko wants us to give these out, right? They'll hand you as many as you can use
Mm,
because they want to sell their products. So I give them that sample card. I put the sample card right up against the home. I ask them to actually walk around all four sides of the home because your UV damage is going to be different on different sides of the
right.
structure if
That's
they
right.
haven't kept up with staining, right?
Yeah.
So the sealant choices that they choose on one side may look very, very different than the sealant choices that they use on a different side because of that UV darkening. I will take that sample card, place it up against their structure, and have them point to it while I take a picture of that. So I have a
Ah,
picture of the client picking their sealant. And then I send the service agreement, and I send the exact specifications of what they have chosen in which area, because you might end up using 6 different sealants on this particular home, different colors for different spots, right? Different textures,
yeah.
all sorts of different factors go into it. So, and the
Mm,
client signs off on all that.
that's pretty smart. I like that idea. Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
Do you
And
have a
this is just,
sense, oops, before you go
yeah,
on,
go
do you
ahead.
have a sense for how many uh, log cabins or these types of structures someone should have in their service area to make hiring you uh, cost effective? Do you have a kind of a number that you tell clients? It's like, if you have 10 log homes in the area, you're going to break even, or if you have 100, whatever
Yeah.
what does someone need to have to make to break even?
So because of the way that we build our costs into the project, a single project would make it worthwhile because you're not paying me, $5,000 or $10,000 to do this,
Mm,
right? The client's paying to do this. They're paying to have me come out and make sure it's done right. So if it were out of pocket, and true, it's true that there, if my costs weren't factored into the project, they could bid it out at less.
right, right.
But think about that, like the amount of expertise involved in that. No one really wants to screw this. This is not a situation that you'd want to screw up, right?
That's right. Oh no, absolutely not.
So
No.
so in most cases, it makes total sense because the client's going to turn it down anyway. 9 times out of 10, they're like, I'm not doing this. There's no way I'm touching this unless we have the right tools in place to teach their crew, to walk them through and get the right proposal out the door so they're not losing money on it. Um, it just makes a lot of sense for folks just to pull the trigger and do this.
Gotcha.
And so it doesn't take a lot. I would say, obviously, your areas where you have a lot of log structures, there's no reason that you shouldn't be doing this because you can use these wood caulks in area, even if you don't want to ever do projects that are really complex. There's so many applications to using wood caulks around exclusion materials, around metal work. It's a symbiotic relationship between metal bending and metal exclusion and sealants. Those two
Mm,
can work very beautifully together.
yeah,
So I really encourage you guys to raise your game, become the experts in your area that people go to.
gotcha.
So this just shows the different modules that are in the basic sealant course. It's not so basic, really. It's a pretty in-depth course. So
Yeah.
there's 11 modules there.
Okay.
And then in our log structures courses, these are the courses that we have available, and there's some that will be coming soon. Um, it takes all 9 to get the certification. Uh, Many people are just going ahead and they're ordering individual courses because they want to learn as much as they can, as quick as they
Yeah.
can.
Hmm.
And if they take all of them, then we'll give them their certification. It's not a problem there.
Wow.
Um, the There's one class there's one mini course in here that we are considering only offering with the entire certified course, because I don't, it's going to be the using chinking and wood caulks because of the amount of videos and effort that goes into creating that module, we may only offer that when somebody completes all of them. Like they have to do the entire course. I
Yeah.
haven't decided yet whether I'm going to offer that individually yet or not. I think I'm going to bundle it. It's going to have, it'll be the last one that comes out.
Mm. Yeah,
But
well, it's
there
certainly
is,
important enough. You want to make sure people have the foundation, right? You don't want them doing advanced stuff without
yeah,
understanding the underlying
well,
components, you know?
is so true. I mean, if you're going to understand the chinking and how to do the chinking, you better understand, how do you apply the backers? How do you,
Yeah,
how do you wrap your head around 2 point adhesion and why that's so important? All of those basics are going to be foundational.
absolutely. Do you have an estimate when those classes are going to be when you're going to finish the course? I know I'm putting you on the
Oh,
spot here, but
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
spitball it,
So
no one's
I I've been doing some special projects for the state of Oklahoma, working with the trade schools here in the state, and
mm,
we might do some training through the career tech system here in the state of Oklahoma, and that has taken up a lot of my time
yeah,
and kind of shifted my focus a little bit away from this. I have some time coming up here at the holiday that I
yeah,
plan on diving into this again, and hopefully I'll be able to crank out some more classes soon. I don't, I'd like to commit, but I just don't. There's a lot of factors that would depend on how soon,
sure.
and a lot of times I think to myself, oh, it's just going to take a month. and, and it ends up to be, I don't like something and I change it 50
Are
times, and
you a
it's just
perfectionist? Is that what I'm hearing
uh,
here?
maybe a little bit.
A little
Yeah.
bit. Okay. Okay. Well, stay tuned, folks. Other classes will be coming, but check back off, check back, every month or so, and maybe something new will get on his mailing list, so he'll tell you when stuff comes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here we go. Okay, got your email. I got it. Okay. Okay, so
Did the
okay.
camera come back on? I can't see
It
it.
did. Oh yeah, yeah, you're back.
All
Yep,
right,
good.
I'm back. So,
So you have two different websites. The Nuco training is where they can take the online classes, and then if they want you in person, would they go through the nucotraining.com site, or do they move over to the consulting site?
either site links to one another, so
Okay,
you can just kind of cruise around both of them. But really, for consulting and understanding what we offer in that realm, that's the consulting site.
consulting
The
site.
training site is dedicated to our training content, mainly our online training. We talk a little bit about the in-person stuff, but
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
All right. Wow. There's uh there's a lot there. And so
there is.
is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to be sure that the audience knows or do you anything you think you need to repeat for the audience to be sure that kind of summarize because there's a lot there. This is important, some important stuff. We'll let you think about that for a moment and in terms
Yeah,
of
I think, Stephen, there's just it's like an onion. You peel one part back, and there's another layer of learning.
mm,
As you develop in your professional careers, all of you folks that I'm speaking to, whether you're just beginning in this or you've been doing it 20 years, never stop learning. Like if you get in the mindset that you know everything, I've been doing this for 30 years, I know what I'm doing, you will miss every opportunity to continue to grow professionally. There
yeah,
isn't a day that I don't learn something if a critter doesn't teach me something. And I just think there's so many training resources out there. And when you factor in the cost of training, I know I'm selling my training here, but
do
I
that.
think
Absolutely. You should.
it's not just mine. I think generally guys in this industry that are offering training aren't doing it for the money, and I'm the first one to tell you that it's kind of miserable what we like, what we bring home when and the bottom line is we're doing this because we want to elevate the industry. We're doing this because we want people to not make the same mistakes that we have made. We want people to be successful and to take their profession to the next level.
Yeah.
We love this industry, and that's what I'm all about. I'm the first guy that if you have questions, call me. Ask those questions. Not asking questions is not doing anybody any justice. It's not doing your clients any justice. It's not doing you or your team justice. Learn as much as you can. Seek that out. Never stop asking questions. Never stop learning.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's also important to find ways to differentiate yourself from your competition in that sense. And so this would be one way to do that because, without, trapping squirrels is important, right? I'm not dissing controlling squirrels, but the point is that you really want to be competing with the 20-year-old who's just, as opposed to, would he be able to do this, right? So do you want to do one job and make, I'll just throw a number out, $2,000? Do you want to do 10 jobs and make $200 a job, right? So it's that type of a different mentality that you have to think about. And so check it out, nucotraining.com, nucoconsulting.com. And of course, Gerrod said you can reach him at Gerrod, Gerrod, at Nuco, NWCO consulting.com. Gerrod at nucoconsulting.com. Be sure, love to hear from you and definitely reach out. Well, Gerrod, we'll want to thank you so much for being part of our show today. And as we're closing up, just remember you've been listening to the Wildlife Control Consultant podcast, and we've had Gerrod Walker, who is the owner of nucoconsulting.com, where you can get training about how to handle log cabins and sealing and things that I didn't even know. Not that I know everything, without a doubt, but there is a lot more going on than just slapping some caulk on it, folks, particularly when you're dealing with log cabins. So if you have log cabins in your area or you just want to expand your knowledge about using sealants properly, even on non-log cabin buildings, check out his training at nucotraining.com. And of course, if
And
you're looking for that hands-on approach, reach him at nucoconsulting.com. He'd be glad to talk to you. So, well,
and
Gerrod,
I
thank you
like
very
to
much.
say,
Yeah,
I like to say one last thing. Don't be caulk blocked. Get training.
good.
Uh,
We'll leave it with that. All right, everyone. Till next time. Take care. This is the disclaimer for Wildlife Control Consultant Podcast. Vertebrate pest control is an inherently dangerous activity involving risk of bodily injury to you, others, and/or property. Vertebrate pest control also involves legal issues, so be sure to always follow national, state, provincial, and local laws when using pesticides and/or other control methods when controlling pests. Wildlife Control Consultant LLC, Stephen M. Vantassel, or their affiliates are not responsible for your use of the information provided here. Always consult a qualified and appropriate professional before employing the information provided here.